World Development System. Chapter 321, Conclusion of Talks with Elias. John spoke irritatingly as he unconsciously spread his aura when Plato stopped him. Let me finish it. I want access to your magic metal mines, or I want access to your magicians, and the people you send shouldn't be very disproportionate species-wise, i.e. if you would send 1 human for 100 demons or 1 demon for 100 humans and so on, then it won't be acceptable. Disproportion is inevitable, but deliberate disproportion won't be tolerated. Ratios like 2:9, 3:9, and so on are okay. You get the gist of what I am saying, right? Plato calmed down, then thought and spoke. So you want access to our magicians, and while we are selling people, the proportion should at least be 2:9 either way. Okay, that is possible, but we can't give you access to our top magicians, okay? Only the middle grade magicians will be allowed. This time it was Rona who spoke, as she thought that John would change his mind. Okay, we agree to this condition. We anyway won't be selling our magic metal mines. Plato thought as soon as Rona spoke and looked at John keenly. It seems that magic metal mines were never in his agenda. His true purpose was most likely the magicians. Okay, I will let that slip by and make it seem as if I didn't notice this subtlety. Plato nodded and spoke deliberately so as to dig about John's relationship with others. Princess Sally would be the queen, right? John smiled as he understood his intentions and spoke nonchalantly. Yes. Is there any other preparations you want? John thought, I guess he is most probably trying to gauge my relationship with Diana, Eva, and Josephine for now. Well, he doesn't know that all of them would be queens and the matter of status don't matter. Humph. Using little tricks against me. Plato and Rona were quite shocked as they looked at John suspiciously. Even Quill was quite shocked, but calmed down as he knew that Lord John was going to marry them after hearing from Master Melanie, as these days she didn't bother him or others for creating more chances of dates between John and Eva. He thought, I guess this is due to Prince Chad's meeting with Duke Norman today and hence the calm. Rona thought suspiciously, what is he cooking right now, another scheme? I guess I can't dig into his relationship with others so easily. It doesn't matter, as I have completed my mission and he has agreed to His Majesty's bottom line early on, and this is what matters the most. His Majesty can pacify the nobles and masses both by saying that Sky's king is his son-in-law and Sky Kingdom is just a dowry, while other things were anyway developed or expanded by King John himself, while keeping a facade of peace for now. A pardonable excuse. Plato meanwhile thought as he heard John, as far I know, our spy's report shouldn't be wrong. I heard that his relationship with Eva and others has improved since the last ball when Duke Frederick arrived, and hence the suggestion for a marriage alliance by our strategic experts. Well, even if he is lying, Princess Sally's fate as a concubine anyway is good enough, since she would be marrying someone who she knows for a long time now and is better than marrying into a duke's house. John looked seriously at Plato as bought the important points and spoke, what about my spies? You still haven't released them. Plato nodded and spoke, after we sign the agreement and make a formal announcement, we will release the spies. Don't worry about them. They are not in normal prisons where people are tortured every day, they are living normal lives but are under house arrest. This treatment is enough for your men, right? We can release some of them in good faith for now. John nodded and spoke, okay, you can meet General Endo and others after our signing ceremony today. You can also make an announcement about this later on, so don't forget to release my spies before the crowning ceremony. Both Rona and Plato were shocked, as this meant that John was really going to make her a queen. Plato spoke as he smiled cunningly, Your Majesty John, I wonder if you are interested in a scheme against Radiant Church and Prince Hector. Joel muttered slowly, here comes the main dish and also the reason why Plato buttered up to His Majesty John publicly. While Rona smiled as she knew that this would happen when she talked with Plato previously. John thought about the attack which was going to take place today and spoke, okay, continue. What sort of scheme do you have in mind against them? Plato nodded and spoke, I wonder if you know about Radiant Church's recent underground activities. John signaled to Quill and spoke, bring that classified report about Radiant Church and hand it over to him. Quill nodded as he brought out the report and spoke, Lord Plato, are you talking about the Radiant Church recently promoting against slavery these days to the commoners? Check this out, you may get more insights. Plato looked at the report unabashedly and almost cursed, bastards, they have spread so much and are doing it to this much extent? We indeed need to be ruthless to them. Meanwhile, Quill was quite surprised as he saw that Plato was able to read Sky's new language without any difficulties. He thought, no wonder. He is not called the grand strategist for anything. He always has his sights on the borders with national interests in mind. After reading the report, Plato nodded as he smiled sinisterly and spoke, I wonder if you are interested in making propaganda about the recent activities of the Radiant Church. You will simply have to make reports about how noble they are for only promoting freedom for humans and not other species. This will make them an enemy of both the nobles and other kingdoms simultaneously. With this, the one who will be affected the most will be Duke von Longbonder. As far as I know, Duke von Longbonder is currently in an alliance with Prince Hector and might cause problems for you. Unlike Prince Hector, he is a very tough nut. He has a lot of resources at his disposal, whether it is nobles, bureaucrats, ministers, mercenaries, or kings. You see, it is his family which has controlled the narratives of slaves for quite a long time, about 400 years already, so they will be affected the most by the actions of Radiant Church. Previously, it was the other families that controlled major slave trade. John nodded and spoke, true, I saw that Prince Hector has recently been running a lot after being abandoned by Queen Cecilia and her family. Anyway, that guy is just a petty runt. But making Radiant Church fight with Prince Hector and those nobles will be quite interesting. John made a decision and spoke, okay, I will be targeting Radiant Church economically, politically, and if necessary militarily. I will also be actively making medicines for a lot of incurable diseases so as to attack the services of Radiant Church. I suggest that you guys too attack the Radiant Church by propaganda, i.e. the only thing you have to do is target the local head and bring up his scandals. Of course, it must be the truth. Same for the dukes who will be buying the printing presses along with the royal family. John continued as he thought with skepticism and asked Plato, hey Plato, do you really think that the nobles will believe anything that we write on our newspapers? Plato thought deeply as he smiled and spoke, you might not know, but two of your newspapers have gained a lot of reputation due to their excellent reporting of news. One is Sky Times and the other one is North Frontier Times. This is because most of the articles written by you guys have been verified by the various sources of the nobles as well. And in case even if they didn't believe it, this will sow the seeds of doubts in their mind which will make them take action and investigate Radiant Church privately, which will improve the authenticity of your report. So what do you say? John nodded, and as he thought, it seems that pursuing the truth will inevitably give good results even in the face of the enemy. John nodded and spoke, okay, so it is decided that we will go with this plan. You guys have no problems, right? It was Rona who spoke now. Your Majesty, I wonder if you can help us contact the people of our faction. John sighed and understood what she wanted. It can be possible, I will arrange Admiral Blake to bring General Endo to Golden Spring City. As for the prisoners, most of them are in Aurora currently. Okay, I will arrange for them to be transported to Eastern Port City. But you will have to wait for a few days. Rona immediately nodded and spoke, that won't be a problem. We will be in Sky until your crowning ceremony 1 month later at Golden Spring City. I will be conducting business for this 1 month, so time shouldn't be a problem. Although Joel didn't speak one word during this meeting, he still breathed a sigh of relief as all the talks were decided and both the sides lowered down their auras. Even though Plato didn't show it on his face, but he was the one who was most relieved, as he had made a big political bet this time around which could decide his downfall or let him stay at his place. In Duke Fjord's domain, there was an atmosphere that was full of doom and gloom because none of the ministers were willing to speak, as it would only mean to get themselves killed. In his court, Duke Fjord roared irritatingly, is there any other information related to Sky? This time, it was Jonas who spoke, there is one good news and one bad news. Duke Fjord, who looked like a zombie these days, immediately jolted and spoke, "Okay, let's hear the good news." Jonas looked at Duke Fjord carefully and spoke, "According to our sources, Baron Mendez's son Antonio was almost assassinated by the Radiant Church. According to some guards under Lord Plato, they said that this assassination was funded by Prince Hector and planned by the top cardinals as the head of the Templar Knights. Neo was also killed in the skirmish inside the prison." Duke Fjord furrowed his brows as soon as heard about Templar Knights and spoke, "Neo? Is it that Neo? The one trained by cardinals personally?" Jonas nodded and spoke, "Yes. It is the same Neo. According to them, there were two factions fighting in the prison in which the Templar Knights lost. They say that the second faction was supported by His Majesty John. They say this due to the nature of weapons and the bodies which had bullets, the same as the ones faced during the war by Elias. Currently, Lord Antonio is in Dolores under house arrest. You can see the report about his house arrest in one of the new newspaper publishers of Sky. Knowing the imperial court, I don't think they would do this if it is in their will. I think some sort of deal took place, as this was also the time when Sky reduced its aggression against castles bordering Dolores." Fjord smiled as he looked at the newspaper and spoke, "Good, now we can dump all the shit of this war on Hector if anyone from royal family's faction targets us." "Okay, what is the bad news?" Jonas sighed and spoke, "In the North-South peace talks, we were not invited. Lord Plato cited that it was due to the hostile relationship between Lord John and us due to the death of Lord Evan. Currently, the talks are most likely taking place. Some of our people are in the business group, so the transfer of information may only delay a little." Fjord gritted his teeth as he took down his humiliation and spoke, "These are the tricks by the royal family. Anyway, as a duke, I will have the same rights as other dukes, so we don't need to worry. Any other news?" Jonas sighed and spoke, "People from Darius's army are still getting killed on a frequent basis. At least the ones who were officers and had a close relationship with Darius. I think it is most likely Henry. I am sure he is supported by other powers currently to create turmoil in our duchy." Fjord calmed down after a series of setbacks and took a decision firmly, "Okay, since Darius's previous division is reducing the morale of other divisions, we will disband Darius's division and build 3 other new decisions. As for the officer-level veterans, we will make special corps that will be hidden from public eyes. Now we will see how they attack them. And from now on, keep a keen look on the movements of all the nobles." Jonas nodded and spoke, "Okay, I will make the preparations." Everyone in the court sighed after a long time, since this was the first time after the war that a normal conversation took place. Chapter 322, Chaos at the Plaza Part 1. North Frontier City. It was the square of Winter Palace in North Frontier City where an army parade was taking and a short memorial was given to the soldiers of all the nations who lost their soldiers in war. These arrangements were contrary to what was previously planned by Quill and others due to the arrival of new guests from Radiant City. There was complete silence for 5 minutes that described the solemnness in the crowd, which included the diplomats from Elias, Brindil, Lemuria, Fire Abyss, and Sky. After the memorial, John gave a speech in front of everyone. "To all the citizens and people attending the event here, I will try to make it short, but please bear with me. Today is a very happy day. I say this because we have reached an agreement to stop the unnecessary bloodshed. I say this because I hope and believe in a better tomorrow. I say this because we can strive for a better tomorrow. I hope the citizens in Sky don't hate the citizens of Elias and Brindil with whom we fought, and I also hope that the citizens from other countries won't hate us. I won't ask for an apology from others because I believe respect can only be earned by strength as well as magnanimity. However, without strength, respect cannot be earned. We fought because we felt our motherland and ideals were worth protecting, even if meant death. In the end, I would like to announce that Sky, Elias, and Brindil have reached a formal agreement for peace between our countries and end the brutal war so that more lives aren't lost in vain." John signaled Quill to bring the agreement that was first signed by Plato and Annan, with Lemuria and Fire Abyss being the witnesses to the agreement. Angel Leo was quite angered by John's self-righteous words, but he still kept his anger in check so as not to ruin the plan. When John was about to sign the agreement, there was a loud roar in the sky as the sun started having an abnormal eclipse. It was as if there was night and day's time. This scared a lot of common people who were in the square. The commoners shivered as they almost started kneeling on the ground. Gray's men started evacuating the commoners so that no one gets hurt and their preparations don't go to waste. As soon as the roar was heard from the sky, the silhouette of a divine being could be seen. The divine being's voice was heard in the whole region, whether it was Elias, Sky, Brindil, Lemuria or Fire Abyss. Fear me, mortals, for these are the times when chaos starts. Your very sin is accepting this sinner as a king of a country in this world. Every person who has accepted his crowning will burn in my black fire even after your death. If you want to escape your fates, then cleanse yourselves with the Radiant Church and join the crusade against this sinner. Kneel before the Radiant Church and ask for forgiveness. This was a shadowy silhouette of Radiant God Irmela, who had eyes as if he would eat everyone up in the square. The Radiant God, Irmela, was wearing white and gold patterned clothes along with a small crown. He had a luster of gold on the borders which made him seem divine. He also had a beautiful long sword in his right hand as he pointed it towards John when he made his previous statement in anger when all the countries had signed and accepted the existence of Sky from now on. What made him the angriest was the fact that he would lose more followers day by day. Everyone, including the guards, was alarmed as soon as they heard Irmela's declaration after the solar eclipse. John was quite calm as soon as he heard Irmela's declaration. He held on to Amulet of Thorns and prepared for the worst as he saw alarms ringing from the system. Danger! High-level entity. Host should prepare himself with the Amulet of Thorns. Level 65 entity. Auto-scanning. Multiple high-level entities detected. Name, Irmela Radiant. Mana, 10,500 mana points regen/minute. Power, 7,000. Level, 65, not a god. Species, Shadow Silhouette of God. Owns, the Radiant Church and its followers. Talents, Light Saint, Magician of all the 5 basic elements, Level unknown, Sword Saint, High degree of charm, Domination aura. Weakness, Dark arts, Curses of dark origin, Anger, Soul attacks work the best on shadows. He has bad relations with God of Death and God of Ice. Need a high level of status scan for more information. Irmela then looked at John as he roared and made a move towards John while pointing his sword at him and roared, "How dare a mortal like you look at me in the eye and dares to face me?" Lord Leo, who was leading the people from Radiant Church, immediately spoke after he saw the silhouette of Lord Irmela. Now is the right time to kill all the important people and take the management of this kingdom. Come, we will attack with Radiant Lord and cleanse this kingdom for defying the order of gods. We will make this continent know the true fear of defying the gods as we did in the previous crusades. Kikikikik. At this time, an eerie sound of laughter was heard by the people of Radiant Church when the fight started. The sound came from a space portal where an undead king came along with his army of 10 generals. The angel, Lord Leo, ignored the arrival of the undead initially and asked one of the bishops to clean them up. It seems this sinner has also learned the arts of a necromancer. More the reason that he should be killed lest he corrupts this whole world. Go and clean those small fries. I don't want anyone to interfere in our operation now. Dwayne too nodded his head and signaled Mist to start their plans. While Lukov was quite alert as soon as he heard Irmela's voice along with the arrival of undead. One of the bishops went to the undead as he chanted light magic and blasted a light missile towards the undead king. The undead king, without worrying about the light missile, flicked it off with his pinky without batting an eye. This scene shocked a lot of people in the arena as the bishop was a high-level character in the Radiant Church and the undead usually suffered 4 times more damage when facing light magic attacks. Angel Leo and 2 of the cardinals who accompanied him too were quite shocked at this development. For the first time, they looked at the undead with more focus. One of the cardinals muttered as soon as he saw the scene, "This is an undead lord, no undead sage? How is it possible for one to exist?" I am certain that we cleansed the necromancers for good during the last crusade from this land." After hearing the cardinal, the undead laughed eerily and spoke, "Kikikikik. Of course, a brat like you won't know me because I have been underground from the eyes of Radiant Church for quite a long time. Your superior near you might know about me. And there is also that asshole with that fancy sword who would usually send his lackeys every now and then to harass me. However, you should rejoice because today is the day you and your masters will pay the debts of the past." Lord Leo was quite angry as he remembered the voice of the undead. "So you weren't dead last time when Senior came to get rid of you. You should have hidden yourself to live longer. Alas, you chose an early death and revenge even though you were greatly injured last time." Without giving any warning, Lord Leo brought out his staff as he started shooting high-level fireballs toward the undead sage Xylo without any chance. Lord Leo spoke to his men as he started attacking Xylo, "Start preparing your best spells and attack this undead with light or fire magic." The undead generals and mages who didn't react until now started making formations to combat the mages and Templars from the Radiant Church. During this commotion, Vlad was quite prepared as he ordered his soldiers to start shooting the people from Radiant Church with magic bullets. Vlad smiled cruelly and spoke, "This time none of you guys will be able to run amok." Vlad then ordered Grey, "Make sure to keep the safety of diplomats and commoners your topmost priority. Guide the commoners to leave the square and guide the diplomats to come under the protection of our elite corps." Grey nodded as he followed the orders. Vlad then ordered Diana, Eva, and other women, "You guys should seek the shelter of Diril." Frederick came and spoke to Vlad, "It's okay, I will be protecting them. You should focus on the battle over here." Sally and Diana worriedly looked at John who was being attacked by Ermella. Frederick smiled mysteriously as he spoke, "Don't worry, he will fine. This time a lot of people will get a big surprise. Not even that clone can kill him. Though the clone has about 3%-5% of power, but their powers are limited in this realm." Diana nodded as she too brought out her rifle and started shooting magic bullets towards Lord Leo in anger. Frederick meanwhile was sweating bullets due to the difference in strength between them. He slowly murmured, "If not for that undead, it would be a very bloody battle." There was an utter shock when the Templars and priests were defending against the magic bullets. One of them immediately spoke in despair, "How could these projectiles penetrate the holy armor which has been made after so many efforts? Hell, there is even poison and dark magic embedded on these bullets." Even Lord Leo and Xylo couldn't help but observe the bullets when they penetrated the holy armor. Vlad looked at Xylo and spoke, "I don't know your purpose in arriving here, but since you are helping us against our enemies we won't pursue you. However, if you have any motives against our lord, then be sure you too will face our wrath." Xylo smiled as he ignored Vlad and spoke, "You should be glad that I am not here for your lives, or you would be turned into an undead demon with that injury on your abdomen. I heard that Radiant Church and you guys have irreconcilable hatred, so how about joining us to kill this bastard over here? This might piss off Ermella, what do you guys think?" Xylo smiled as he spoke and signaled towards Lord Leo, who was fuming in anger due to the ineffectiveness of his attacks. A lot of people started sweating as they heard Xylo's remark, because if they killed him then they would be marked by Ermella and other gods for life. Vlad didn't do anything as he viewed Xylo cautiously while he and his men attacked the bishops and cardinals. Meanwhile, without worrying about the commotion, John signed the agreement as he heard Ermella's announcement. As soon as John signed the agreement, various system voices could be heard while Ermella moved to attack him. "Congratulations on successfully signing the peace deal with Elias and Brindil. Your physique has improved. Current reputation points. Domestic reputation points, 93/100, decreasing with the ongoing fight. External reputation points, 51/100, decreasing with the ongoing fight. You have earned 800 million W.D.S points for making the foundation of your kingdom. Side quest, kill the shadow silhouette of Lord Ermella and gain 500 million W.D.S points along with multiple rewards." John slightly muttered as he looked at the two other dangerous entities, it looks like that angel called Leo is level 59 while that undead sage Xylo is level 61. John signaled Quill, who went bring out the items. John then slowly muttered as he faced the attack of Irmela, let's try using space magic for now. Chapter 323, Chaos at the Plaza Part 2. Irmela smiled as soon as he saw the space portal opening in front of him. When he moved, he snorted and spoke, humph. This level of space magic won't work on me. You need to at least learn the basics if you want to use this sort of spell against me. Irmela chanted a spell and covered himself in light magic as he entered the space portal, but was not transported 100 meters away behind Angel Leo to be stabbed by his sword as John expected. It was as if the space portal broke like a mirror without transporting Irmela as he passed through it and moved forward towards John. John muttered as he made his observations, it seems space magic needs to be upgraded for it to be used against higher level enemies. However, the range of space portals seems to be 500 meters from what I can feel. But mana consumption becomes high with higher range. Seeing that Irmela was still moving towards himself without being suddenly transported behind Leo, John held the Amulet of Thorns and activated it using his magic power when Irmela was about to penetrate him with his sword. Irmela laughed and spoke as soon as the sword penetrated, humph, unlike others, I never underestimate my enemies and attack with my most powerful attacks on enemies even if they are ants. For a long time, you have pissed me and my followers in this region with your activities against the Radiant Church. All you had to do was bow against me, but you didn't, and now you will pay for your transgressions against me and my followers. As soon as Irmela stabbed John, he saw that John was laughing while a little bit of blood was coming out of John's mouth. A red-colored dome shield immediately rose and covered John's whole body without being penetrated by the sword. The red-colored dome rose from the Amulet of Thorns which was in John's hand. John then bit his hand and spread his blood on the Amulet of Thorns, which got activated immediately. John's hair too started turning red when Amulet was activated. Irmela's face was pale as soon as he saw this. How is this artifact from the underworld in your hands? It is mostly in the hands of Fire Abyss royalty. And how can you transform? High humans have long been extinct by dilution. Heck, there are a lot of variables. After watching this, Irmela immediately made the distance between himself and John as he started chanting a spell, and immediately golden light shields began appearing before Irmela in large numbers. He thought, I hope this is enough. I have really underestimated this sinner's power. Who knew that the demons would help him actively and lend him that artifact? If I was near it, then soul magic would have done irreparable damage. Before he could speak, the Amulet of Thorns got activated as blood-red projectiles started appearing in large numbers before the red dome shield of John. There was a very heavy aura being emitted by the soul blood projectiles. Detecting soul, blood, and dark fusion magic from the Amulet of Thorns. Started analyzing. Without paying attention to the notification by the system, John immediately raised his right hand and pointed it towards Irmela as the countless blood-red projectiles started shooting themselves towards Irmela. As soon as the first projectile came in contact with the shield of Irmela, it got burst in red fire along with other shields in the boundary of 3 meters. This result shocked a lot of people, including Arzaz and Bitter, who knew about the effect of this amulet. Bitter immediately asked Arzaz, Arzaz, isn't the effect of amulet a bit too much this time around? Usually, it only burst around the periphery of 1 meter. What do you think is the reason? Arzaz too was confused as he looked at John keenly as he saw his blood-red hair and increased physique. He smiled and spoke, it seems, it is due to his magic purity as well as his pure blood, which has a better effect on amulet. After looking at Lord John, now I am sure that he and Frederick have made some sort of deal. Bitter was shocked after he heard Arzaz as he immediately looked at John and spoke, he has more pure blood than us demons. How is this possible? Is he really a human? That red blood hair is actually the sort of transformation of Blucia demons, which is usually blue in normal circumstances. Don't tell me. Arzaz nodded and spoke, yes, don't speak more or we might be in danger. We better secure ourselves a place so that we can watch this fight and also watch the activities of Chad if he is planning something. Meanwhile, Chad too had the same face when he saw John's transformation as he spoke. No wonder Duke Frederick is allying with him. But how did he get the blood of Blucia ancestor? It looks like something isn't matching. I better investigate more. And it seems that Bitter really invested a lot in this upstart king. We really need to check the sample of his blood before determining his race. As soon as the blood-red projectiles came into contact with the shields, it was as if big explosions were taking place time and again on Irmela, who was in the air. Irmela's face became pale after taking the heavy bombardment. New projectiles and shields were being created every second, but the firepower of soul blood projectiles was more than what could be handled by Irmela. A lot of projectiles came in direct contact with the Irmela's shadow silhouette as it burst and injured Irmela gravely. The damage became more grave due to the effect of soul magic and dark magic which was fused in the attack. Ding! Soul magic analyzed fully. After looking at the grave situation, Irmela muttered, "This lowly mortal actually forced me to use this artifact. Truly humiliating. I can't go empty-handed after this much loss of face." This time, after the initial contact with soul blood projectiles and grave damages, Irmela looked at John gravely and angrily as he made more distance between him and John as he brought out an artifact and burst it. Immediately after the artifact burst, a big radiant shield was created around Irmela as he remained seated and chanted a spell as if to stabilize the shield. The radiant shield immediately took the attack of soul blood projectiles which failed to penetrate Irmela's defense for the first time. The new shield stopped forming while the radiant shield started doing most of the work. Chapter 324, Chaos at the Plaza Part 3. Looking at Irmela, who was continuously chanting a spell, John immediately guessed and muttered, "It seems, he is focusing on gathering mana to keep that shield stable. Looks like I will need a mental and soul attack to make a dent on his shield." At this time, Quill immediately bought 2 bazookas along with some special rifles after looking that the situation was all safe. John smiled in joy as soon as he saw the bazookas and the newest rifles. Good timing. "Give me the bazooka, I will immediately engrave it with soul magic while he is busy defending." Quill immediately spoke after hearing John, "It is already engraved with dark magic, Your Majesty. You can only engrave the shells and bullets for now." John looked at the bazooka and rifles after he heard Quill as he nodded and spoke, "Okay, give me the shells and bullets, I will engrave them." After giving the weapons, Quill took note of the situation as he ordered Grey to escort the diplomats to appropriate positions that will be safe. Meanwhile, the soul blood projectiles hit Irmela for a whole 5 minutes before it stopped. Irmela had a keen look on John as he doubted that John was bluffing so that he deactivates the artifact, which may render all of his efforts useless. He observed John for a whole 5 more minutes after the attack stopped as he saw that John was rapidly engraving some weapons with soul magic, which alerted him while the amulet of thorns turned into dust. He slowly muttered as he stopped chanting, "How can any human engrave a weapon so fast? It is next to impossible. Even the best grand engravers will take 20 times more time to engrave something with magic this fast." Irmela's whole body was tattered in dust and blood as he looked like a vagabond with a fancy sword in his right hand when the attacks stopped. Without waiting for Irmela to attack again, John immediately took the bazooka and ordered Quill, "Order Arlen and his troops to use the special rifles and magic bullets on these intruders immediately so as to lessen the pressure on the troops escorting the citizens." Looking at John, who was in a panic, Irmela laughed as he chanted another spell as raised his sword and light spirit balls gathered in a fast pace above the sword. Irmela then waved his sword in John's direction as the light balls were directed in John's direction. John too wasn't idling around as he aimed the bazooka on Irmela and shot it immediately. Looking at the bazooka, Irmela snorted in contempt and spoke, "Humph. Previously I wasn't aware that you had the artifact of demons to counter, but this time what can that puny weapon of yours do to me?" Unknown to Irmela, the fired bazooka immediately reached Irmela and burst along with dark and soul magic. This time, the bazooka did more damage to Irmela than what was done by the Amulet of Thorns attack. The bazooka burst with a bloody red color as soon as it came in contact with Irmela. This fast. I almost couldn't react in this body. As soon as the bazooka burst, there was a bloody abdomen where the innards of Irmela could be seen. Irmela too was in a big shock after suffering an attack of such caliber. His immediate thought was, how could this be possible? This is 3 times more painful than the previous Amulet of Thorns, which is considered as one of the top 10 artifacts of demons. One Amulet of Thorns alone takes around 2 years to finish by 2 grand magicians, 1 chaos alchemist, 1 grand engraver and 1 grand blacksmith. Just the amount of resources used is astonishing to make it. How can this brat have a weapon of this caliber? Even the magic engraved and used on this weapon is 2 levels lower than Amulet of Thorns. John too was in shock as he analyzed the situation and concluded that it was due to soul magic and dark magic which was conserved until the moment it burst, unlike the Amulet of Thorns which continuously drained mana and magic as an energy fuel, while there is also the great damage done due to explosion. John thought as he looked at the effect of bazooka, looking at Irmela's face and the reaction, it seems pretty effective. I guess this is the best effect of the combination of technology and magic. While using bow and arrows, this is not visible as the power is not great and hence it is less effective. This time the multiplying effect is much better. It seems we need to make a magic engraving university to train people. Looking at this situation, even Lord Leo and Xylo were quite shocked as they didn't expect such a situation. John meanwhile looked at the light balls which came his way. John again made a space portal in the light ball's path and opened the other space door behind Leo, who was fighting with Xylo and Vlad. This time, the space door worked and immediately transported the light balls. The light balls came in contact with one of the Templars as he got enveloped in a white fire which burned him to ashes. The Cardinal was quite startled as he made a shield. Irmela too got alerted as he saw the space door which closed. He controlled the light balls mentally as he changed the direction of light balls towards Xylo's group and Vlad's group. Meanwhile, John immediately took another bazooka shell as he didn't give Irmela any time and shot another one in his direction. Irmela was quite startled as he saw this situation and abused John immediately. Irmela grudgingly took out his ring which immediately transformed in a shield. The shield blocked the bazooka but it was still burst to pieces, however Irmela remained safe due to the shield taking most of the damage and only the debris reaching his body. Chapter 325, Chaos at the Plaza Part 4. Looking that the situation was grave, Irmela hardened his left fist as he made a decision. Irmela let go of his sword as it started floating and he started chanting a spell. Irmela smiled cunningly and muttered, "Let's see how you divert this attack. Even that heretic undead will die if he takes this attack head-on." However, due to John's high sensitivity, it was heard by him as he started preparing to take this attack. After the chant was over, the sword started shining golden as it moved rapidly towards John, while the last engraved bazooka was shot towards Irmela by John. "Tch. Irmela frustratingly spoke as he used the cape. Even telekinesis is useless on this projectile due to its power, density, and speed. Which heretic made this sort of weapon? It used to be quite easy when it was solely magic or arrows which were light in weight. This time, unlike previously, Irmela took out his cape as it moved in front of him and blocked the bazooka shell and wrapped it completely without giving the shell any time to react. The cape then flew 100 meters away as the blast occurred inside the magical cape. Looking at this situation, even Xylo was quite shocked after he watched the fight between John and Shadow Irmela, who was forced to use 3 artifacts. Xylo meanwhile again chanted a spell as a grey-colored undead shield covered them as it blocked the light balls for his team. Meanwhile Frederick chanted a spell as a blood wave immediately swallowed the light balls and curbed it. Frederick muttered as he looked at the fight between John and Irmela, "I think it would have been tougher even for me if I was in John's place unless I was fighting with my palace's defenses." Meanwhile, Angel Leo was quite alarmed as he saw the fight between John and Radiant Lord. After looking at Arlen and his elite corps who were coming with the same rifles which were held by John frightened him to the core, he thought immediately, "This attack has been a waste, these heretics are too strong with their weird magic weapons." Angel Leo looked at both the cardinals and spoke, why didn't I have a report about these weapons in the possession of these heretics? The cardinals were quite confused as they thought that angels and gods were all invincible like the last time when they came to defeat Xylo, and hence never took this into the equation. Looking at their confused faces, Angel Leo understood their mentality and cursed immediately, "Fucking bastards, they think that this is a game. These guys don't even understand our hardships when there were high humans, high elves, and other better races who could fight the clones to a standstill." Vlad was still holding back the firepower and observed both sides in case the undead start attacking them after finishing the Radiant Church. John meanwhile took out his specially prepared magic staff as he started chanting and took out 9 crystals and spread them around in a particular formation. This time he immediately prepared the 9-fold magic formation as the golden sword immediately made its way toward him. As soon as the sword came in the range of 10 meters towards John, it faced resistance as 9 barriers immediately covered John. However, the sword didn't stop as one magic formation burst on the sword and it immediately passed 2 barriers. After bursting 3 magic barriers, the 4th, 5th and 6th barriers immediately turned white and burst like a mirror as soon as the sword came in contact with the barrier. The second magic rune had lit on Irmela's sword after the first one stopped. John's face, which was calm the whole time, turned a little serious as he ordered Quill, "Tell Arlen and others to start using the magic rifles along with magic bullets and magic powders on Irmela and start targeting him. The situation is quite grave." Quill too was quite calm as he took out his own bazooka and looked at the engraved shell as he muttered, "It seems I can't hide my powers for long. However, looking at the firepower of bazooka, I think it is worth it to watch the ragged face of Irmela and those lackeys. And that cape looks quite damaged, why don't I try it this time?" As for the 7th, 8th and 9th barrier, they were penetrated as if they were butter after the 3rd rune shined on the sword. The 9th barrier took the most time of 10 seconds to be penetrated as John got stabbed by the sword. Alien entity trying to invade host's body. Expelling the magic particles immediately. Absorbing the magic power emitted by the sword. Host hit points are below 50%. Conditions are met to use certain powers. Super System Mode, enabled, sacrifice of 50% hit points during a battle. Dragon's Roar, enabled, needs host in an agitated state along with 50% or less hit points. Requires 20% mana points to use it. Summoning, unsealed, requires 30% hit points to summon a random creature. Very unpredictable. Super Space Shifts, unsealed. Space shifts up to 10 kilometers. Host, do you want to use the system mode? Please confirm. At 5% hit points, Super System Mode will be automatically activated. John muttered as he took the sword, "Let's wait for a while and see how the situation goes." Irmela smiled as he observed John and muttered, "Unlike his weapons, his physical defenses aren't that tough. I guess this is due to the lack of artifacts and him completely relying on magic." However, knowing that this upstart has just recently founded his kingdom, it isn't surprising that he lacks artifacts. The one thing that is most surprising is his mental resistance power even after my sword invaded his body. Even the angels of others' gods aren't able to resist my takeover for this long. This time, Quill's bazooka shell came into the range of Irmela as he blocked it immediately with the use of his cape again. Quill signaled Arlen, who came to shoot at Irmela with the best ammunition. As soon as Irmela came into contact with magic bullets, he suddenly felt pain, which shocked him as he immediately chanted and some shields came up to defend against the bullets. As soon as the bazooka shell came into contact with the magic cape, Quill laughed as he twitched his fingers and the shell immediately turned black. This time the shell burst immediately without waiting for it to be wrapped by the cape. The cape too started burning in grayish-black fire, which couldn't be stopped even after using holy water by Irmela. This situation startled him quite a lot as he tried various means to curb fire, but it couldn't be suppressed. He roared subconsciously as he couldn't suppress the hellfire. How the hell is the curse of the devil hellfire in possession of this nobody? Fuck, such humiliation even after so many preparations. That is why I hate using shadow bodies. I can't go back with so much loss of face and mockery. John too came out unscathed by the sword, which shocked a lot of people including Xylo and Lord Leo. The main thing noticeable was John's bleeding abdomen and a magic staff which he was holding. Looking at John's situation, Chad had a malicious thought in his mind for a second, but he soon curbed it as John looked in his direction immediately. John's expression was quite different from the previously amiable guy. This time, it was quite cold as he looked around the whole region where the fights were occurring. Chapter 326, Chaos at Plaza Part 5. The current situation was dire for both Irmela and the people from Radiant Church. Irmela was constantly being fired by magic bullets which had started accumulating damage to him. Irmela looked at Leo and mentally communicated to him, "We need to regroup. Transfer all the information that you have on him to me immediately. I will make a plan immediately." Leo immediately prepared a big spell and cast it towards Xylo and Frederick. It was a big flame pillar that was immediately shot by using the mana power of other cardinals and priests, while the Templar Knights were defending their backs as they escaped. Looking at the flame pillar, Frederick looked at Vlad as he signaled to him and immediately chanted the spell. Frederick raised his magic staff and soon a dark blue tsunami raised in front of Frederick's group which blocked the flame pillar. This time, Angel Leo, who was going back to regroup with Irmela, was soon stabbed by a red sword belonging to Prince Lukov during his escape from behind. The two Templars who were defending their backs were dead on the ground without any sound. Prince Lukov laughed and spoke, "You want to escape even after planning such a grand event? How is that possible? Last time, 8 years ago, didn't you guys ruin the party by saving those fledglings, David and Felix? I heard from some people that you guys like to control fates, didn't you? How about you try to guess your own fate today?" Angel Leo deeply looked at Lukov as he chanted a spell to cover himself in golden light, while a cardinal came and engaged himself with Lukov so that Angel Leo can get back. Angel Leo grudgingly muttered as he saw Irmela and left in a hurry so as to not delay the plans. Why now of all the times? It seems all the troublemakers are here today. However, without waiting long, Leo and his team regrouped with Irmela and got back, while one cardinal and 2 Templars engaged with Prince Lukov. Looking at the cardinal and 2 Templars, Lukov looked at them and brought out his new staff and used it. "Let's give this thing a try on you. I wonder what is the limit of this ice fire staff." Immediately Lukov chanted a spell and blood thorns came out of the ground as they grasped the cardinal and Templars. In seconds, blood was sucked out of the Templars while the cardinal was sweating bullets as he chanted his best defensive light spell and tried to get away from the thorns. The blood thorns were so strong that they couldn't even be cut with the sharpest swords. Looking at the situation, Lukov was quite surprised as he didn't expect the power of his new staff to increase his strength to such lengths. Lukov exclaimed sadly as he saw 2 corpses of the Templars, "TCH, you guys got an easy death for blocking me. I thought you would be able to resist more. I intended to play with you guys for some time before killing you off. Such a sad outcome." Hearing Lukov, the cardinal had chills behind his back as he tried to get rid of the thorns which were chasing him endlessly. Meanwhile, Lukov was quite amused as he smiled and saw the cardinal who was escaping at a fast pace. Lukov smiled and spoke, "Looking at your desperation for survival, I can give you a chance." Lukov continued, "I won't chase you personally, you can survive as long as you can escape this spell of blood thorns. Easy, isn't it?" Lukov meanwhile muttered slowly as he saw the cardinal who was languishing on hope, "It would have been good if David too was here along with his only disciple. I wonder how he would react if I killed him in front of his eyes." Meanwhile, as Irmela and Angel Leo saw this scene, they were quite irritated and angry but couldn't do anything due to the constant bombardment and chase by John and Arlen's army. The cardinal jolted in happiness as if he saw the last hope when he heard his words. The cardinal used wind magic to increase his speed and light magic to increase his resistance as he got away from the blood thorn. Angel Leo, who couldn't resist this mockery, spoke loudly to the cardinal, "Rather than clinging to your pathetic life, die with honor, you fool. He is simply playing with you to shake the hearts of everyone here. If you are going to die, then fight and die with bloody honor." Leo sighed as he concentrated on the bombardment of magic bullets. However, Irmela and Leo couldn't bother more as they were bombarded with magic bullets frequently. After hearing Leo, Lukov again simply tapped the ground with his magic staff as the bloodthorns increased in size and also in speed as he smiled and spoke, "Okay, playtime's over. I hope everyone had fun while watching this show." As he said this, the bloodthorns immediately caught up with Cardinal and penetrated his defense as if it was butter. The Cardinal had a pale face as he heard Angel Leo and saw that the bloodthorns had penetrated his defenses. The Cardinal had a look of horror as he saw that there was no hope at the end moments. He only later realized that Lukov was simply playing with him as Lukov never considered that he could lose him. The bloodthorns immediately started working and sucked the blood of Cardinal. The Cardinal's corpse was shriveled as he died with a look of horror on his face. The only regret Cardinal had, in the end, was dying pathetically without any honor. Lukov approached Cardinal's corpse as he took out any valuable he could procure from his body. He slowly muttered as he checked his body, "Damn, this guy is rich. I wonder if all of those guys from the Radiant Church are rich like this fatty." Lukov looked at another bishop and spoke, "Maybe you will be next." The bishop remembered Cardinal's death as he didn't speak anything and simply ignored him and focused on his chants. This was a very humiliating moment for Radiant Church when everyone in the plaza saw this scene. This time, it was Angel Leo who spoke to Irmela, "My lord, we need to escape and replan our attack if we want to kill that heretic. This time, we have greatly underestimated the battle strength of this group." Meanwhile, Irmela was sorting the information which he got from Leo about Sky and John. He looked towards the group of Frederick and Vlad as he smiled and spoke, "I think we might have a way to kill him or at least escape from here." Chapter 327, Chaos at Plaza Part 6. As soon as Irmela looked towards Frederick and his group, it was as if bells started ringing in John's head. The system too started ringing notifications. Angel Leo too looked at Frederick's group and understood Irmela's plan. "Danger! Danger! The host is advised to protect his allies. The host is advised to protect his allies. Please give your instructions." Suggesting host use super system mode for the highest efficiency in attacks and order. Mist too was about to act but Dwayne didn't give the signal yet and signaled Mist to wait for the right moment. Mist sighed and muttered, "I guess I can only trust him and wait for the right moment." Without waiting for anyone, Irmela chanted a spell but was again interrupted by a bazooka shot by Quill. Quill had a grave face as he looked at John and then at Irmela's group. He slowly muttered, "These guys are simply seeking death." Irmela had an irritated face as he was again blocked by the damn bazooka which was a pain in his ass this whole time. Meanwhile, Angel Leo's wrist guards simply turned into dust as he protected his group. Irmela spoke gravely to his group as he again started chanting, "You guys should at least bring me 10 seconds so that I can create an opportunity to clear this menace once and for all. Take and use this artifact. And while I make that attack, you guys should escape. I will be handling the aftermath." John's face was cold as he looked at this situation. He immediately ordered Arlen and Quill, starting using magic shells of higher quality. "No need to shy away. After this, I will make sure to fucking root out Radiant Church out of this region. You guys fucking dare to target my women. It seems you guys really are eager to get wiped out early from the face of the earth." The last two lines were spoken loudly as he subconsciously used magic power in anger. Start using super system mode. Dragon's Roar used. Conditions met to use Dragon's Roar. 20% of mana points used immediately. Starting super system mode. 3, 2, 1. Semi-super system mode activated. Hearing this, Eva, Diana, Sally and Josephine had a look of faint blush after hearing John's open declaration. At this time, Melanie, who wasn't at the ceremony, appeared from a distance. It was Dwight who called her immediately after he saw the commotion at the plaza. After looking at this situation, she immediately brought her staff as she increased her speed and chanted a spell that reacted with Eva's necklace. Eva too was quite surprised but immediately inserted her magic power, which gave Melanie the permission to use the necklace's magic. Dwight sighed as he muttered after he watched Melanie leaving, "Just a little bit of praise from you would suffice, Grandma." With the use of telekinesis, Irmela used the hand of God, which was holding a golden-colored bow, while the arrow had a bigger light-colored spirit bomb which was targeted towards Frederick's group. After looking at Frederick's group, Irmela laughed at John and spoke, "Look how I kill your allies and loved ones. This is the price you pay for defying the order of gods. If you want to save them, how about you beg for mercy? Lick my feet like a dog and maybe I will consider your request." However, unlike previously, this time he immediately heard John's roar and an announcement that he would wipe out Radiant Church from the face of the earth. All of this happened simultaneously. As soon as Irmela heard John's exclamation, he had a grave face as he focused on his bow with anger and tried to fire it. Irmela snorted as he slowly muttered, "Humph! As if I was going to spare them. It seems he really needs to be taught a lesson. I might have changed my target if you didn't have any expression, but it was as I expected. When I capture you, I will make sure that your soul gets tortured for 1,000,000 years for making me come down to personally kill you." As Irmela was about to shoot the light arrow with his hand of God, the bow simply started disintegrating without a moment's notice. Angel Leo too lost his footing as he focused on keeping the artifact stable, while other Templars and priests simply fainted. Angel Leo was quite shocked as he exclaimed, "How does he know fusion magic of soul magic and mental magic? No shield can defend against it unless you have soul and mental resistances." Irmela had a look of shock as he poured more and more power to stabilize the bow. However, the hand of God too started disintegrating without a moment's notice. Irmela, without waiting for anything, poured more mana to stabilize the light arrow as he used his hands to throw the arrow towards Frederick like a spear. The whole attack didn't even generate 30% of the original power. After throwing the arrow, Irmela immediately separated from Angel Leo and started making a formation in a panicked state. Irmela slowly muttered after he heard John's roar, "How does a mortal know dragonic arts? This is simply incomprehensible. He clearly isn't an offspring of a dragon." Looking at this situation, Frederick smiled as tapped his magic staff along with his ring and chanted immediately to block the incoming arrow, "Taboo magic, Ice Forest." Immediately an ice forest started emerging in front of Frederick's group and become a barrier to block the oncoming arrow. Irmela while was still shocked and panicked as he weaved his hands and started chanting another spell. After his spell, one of his rings started shining green as a portal opened behind Irmela. As Dwayne saw Irmela's ring shining, he immediately signaled Mist to activate his magic formation. "Now, Lord Mist." Mist smiled as he looked at the situation and understood why Dwayne waited for so long for him to make a move. He muttered slowly as he chanted a spell and activated the magic formation. "It seems, it was all for this moment. I guess he intends to kill Irmela right here. Quite a scheme he has pulled this time around." On halfway towards Frederick's group, the magic arrow disintegrated due to the barrier and John's dragon's roar. Undead Xylo, who was in the sidelines, slowly muttered as heard dragon's roar, "Interesting. Maybe, I too should join him and try killing Irmela's clone. It would be quite humiliating for him." Chapter 328, Chaos at Plaza Part 7. At this time, John was being guided by Sarah in semi-super system mode. Initially, John was first going to target Angel Leo after Irmela started escaping due to the advice of AI Sarah. However, after the mist activated the formation, John heard another notification from the system. Host is advised to target Irmela. Probability of killing Irmela's clone 63%, probability of clone escaping 37%. Anti-space magic formation detected in the plaza, target Irmela. As long as Irmela or any of his allies remain in the plaza, they won't be able to leave using space magic. At this time, Dwayne too approached John and shouted, "My lord, you should target Irmela instead of Angel Leo. There is a magic formation in the plaza which will prevent him from escaping with space magic." "Lord, you must not let him escape, or else who knows how many people will lose their lives after his escape. John looked at Dwayne and slowly muttered, looks like this variable is due to his intervention. It seems he planned and created this magic formation with the help of Lord Mist, and hence the increase in consumption of mana when using space magic. John nodded and spoke, I was anyway going to target him after Lord Mist activated the magic formation. Xylo meanwhile had a look of horror on his face as soon as he spotted Mist, who was being ordered by a brat. This brat has quite the guts to order around Lord Mist. Xylo chanted a spell as he sacrificed his 5 spellcasters and summoned a grey blade, while he also sacrificed 5 undead knights to summon an undead lord. As soon as undead lord was summoned, he spoke to Xylo immediately in a chilly cold voice, I hope it isn't for a trivial matter that you have summoned me, and I also hope it isn't something which I can't handle. You must be prepared for consequences for summoning me without appropriate reason. The undead's voice came from the portal. Xylo smiled as he knew about the picky character of this summon and spoke, I even summoned the blade of undead just for you for this battle. I guess I will have to give it to other guys since you don't want to use it. Who knows, it may come to your use in improving your swordsmanship. The undead lord's voice fluctuated a little as he saw the blade and muttered, wait, you summoned the blade of undead just for this fight? So what sort of character are you fighting? I will run away if it is something which I can't handle and has a 0% chance of defeating him. As long as I have a 1% chance of defeating him, I will do my best. You know the conditions of our contract, right? Xylo smiled and spoke, it has a more than 60% of killing him. You might get a god's fragment if you are lucky. As soon as Irmela tried escaping from the portal, he was immediately repelled due to space distortion. He looked at Mist and spoke, you guys dare interfere in our matters. Are you tired of living? Dwayne earnestly looked at Mist and spoke, Lord Mist, you must not get swayed by his words and trust him. He will. Dwayne looked at Irmela and thought, if he escapes, he will create quite a stir for the next 3 hours in Sky. A lot of people will die if he escapes. As for elves, the Radiant Church is the reason they were almost annihilated before being rescued by Sky. Mist smiled and stopped Dwayne, it's okay, I trust you, kid. Now, keep quiet and just watch the show. Don't show yourself too much. You must understand that once I make a decision, I do not back out from it unless it concerns the life and death of our race. As for the Radiant Church, I know their history quite well. John immediately took out his black sword and immediately charged towards Irmela. Irmela too stopped paying attention to others as he took out a sword and smiled and spoke, this idiot wants to compare with me in swords. Previously, I was quite worried about his weird weapons, but this is simply a boon in crisis. I may as well kill him and escape. All this while, looking at the current situation, Angel Leo immediately escaped with his group from the plaza, while Prince Lukov was chasing behind them. Prince Lukov muttered slowly as he chased Radiant Church's group, I should have brought more people to handle these small fries. At this time, Arlen and Gray's group too chased Angel Leo on John's orders. Angel Leo, without bothering about anyone, chanted a spell under his feet and all the other companions to increase their speed. Meanwhile, John and Irmela immediately got entangled with each other. As Irmela was attacking, John was assisted by his AI to dodge the attacks of Irmela, which were analyzed to be countered immediately. All of John's sword attacks were embedded with soul magic and dark magic, which continuously cut Irmela. Irmela was quite shocked as he fought John for a longer period of time. At this time, Xylo's summoned undead lord too came and joined the fray with John behind Irmela's back. He immediately slashed Irmela with the blade of undead, which immediately showed its effect and injured Irmela greatly. A part of Irmela's body turned grey as he got injured by the sword. Undead Lord laughed in mockery as he looked at Irmela and spoke, I never thought that you would ever be in such a situation, Irmela. At least not against mortals. It is due to your conceit that you are getting humiliated today in such a manner. If you lived like me, you wouldn't be facing such a situation. Irmela immediately ignored him and started trying to escape as the situation was quite dire. Fuck, even that undead dares to speak in such a condensing manner. Meanwhile, Angel Leo men were getting hunted by Lukov, Arlen, and Grey. All this time, the diplomats and people from all the other countries were quite shocked as they watched the battle which unfolded today at the plaza. Most of the people were shocked after watching the prowess of Sky's weapons. Bitter and Arzaz had a grave as well as happy face as they saw the bazooka which was employed by John and Quill at the important moment. Arzaz muttered as he saw the bazooka, "It was as I guessed, he really has a lot of new weapons. Even those rifles were never seen before. We would have been at a loss if we accepted his offer." Bitter too nodded as they tried to find a good place to view the ongoing battle. Plato had been recording all the events which were taking place without missing out on anything. Chad, who previously wanted to do something, escaped from the plaza and headed to Duke Norman's duchy towards Bliss City via Baron Mendez's domain along with Duke Norman. Chad muttered as he saw North Frontier City from a distance, "I guess nothing will happen today after watching his prowess. We better plan ahead." Irmela, who was trying to escape, was blocked by John, who fused 4 elements with his sword. With the help of Super System mode, all the processes of magic fusion were completed within a millisecond as they fused with the sword while John attacked Irmela. Irmela was quite shocked that he, despite being a sword saint, couldn't even hurt John's hair all this time. Chapter 329. The fused elemental attack of Soul, Dark, Ice and Metal magic did double the damage as compared to Blade of Undead. Even the Undead Lord was quite attracted to John's attack as he focused on chasing Irmela. The Undead Lord smiled as he again spoke tauntingly to Irmela, "You never thought that you would be running like a dog just to rescue your clone, did you? I wonder how you would show your face in public from now on." Without waiting for Irmela to answer, the Undead Lord this time fused his own dark magic as he attacked Irmela's back. In the aftermath of this attack, half of Irmela's back turned grey. Irmela looked at the undead and then at John in anger as he couldn't keep his injuries. This time, Irmela started a chant as a circular light enveloped him which surprised the Undead Lord. After watching the shield, the Undead Lord became quite wary and slowly approached him. Undead Lord muttered slowly, "It seems he wants to take us down along with him. I better create some distance at the last moment. This is enough humiliation for now." At this time, there was a notification inside John's mind as he prepared to attack Irmela with his sword as he too got quite wary from Irmela's shield. Fusing Dragon's Roar with Soul Magic attack on the next attack. Hearing the notification, John left his precaution and made his move. This time, when John's sword attacked Irmela, it was as if the circular shield was butter and Irmela immediately got slashed straight at his face down till his waist. Irmela was about to laugh when he saw John's attack, but soon his laugh turned in despair when the situation didn't turn out as he expected. Irmela roared as he realized what he was hit with. "How is this fucking possible? 2 Dragons Roar! You heretic, you will pay dearly." The Dragon's Roar immediately interrupted the spell. The self-destruction spell couldn't remain stable under the effect of Dragon's Roar and disintegrated inside itself, that led to heavy damage. Without waiting for Irmela to react and speak more, John again attacked and beheaded him as per the instructions of the system with his soul attack. As soon as John killed the clone, there was a notification inside his head. "Congratulations to the host on completing the mission. 500 million W.D.S points rewarded. Other rewards: God's Fragment. God's Fragment integrated with Superscan. Superscan has been upgraded. Access to Tier 2 Advanced Shop granted." Only now did John relax as he watched and analyzed the current situation. After watching this scene, a lot of people were quite surprised as they didn't expect that John will really kill God's clone. The Undead Lord too was quite surprised as John's last 2 attacks completely killed Irmela's clone. As soon as he saw God's Fragment entering John's body, he made a move and attacked John. Xylo meanwhile sighed as he saw that Angel Leo already escaped from Lukov's clutches after sacrificing his men. After escaping the plaza, Angel Leo immediately chanted a spell as he created a space portal and escaped with 2 Templars and 2 bishops. At this time, the original body of Irmela, which was conversing and playing chess with God of Fire, jolted back as he immediately exclaimed, "How is this possible?" Irmela looked at God of Fire and spoke, "I guess I need to go back as some urgent matters have arrived." Without waiting for God of Fire to speak, Irmela ran out of his palace angrily and left for his territory. "That damn heretic dares destroy my shadow silhouette. Fuck!" Irmela, without waiting for anyone, chanted a spell as he looked at the 3 moons and covered them fully. Currently, it was nighttime in Arkan when suddenly an eclipse of 3 moons occurred simultaneously, which rarely occurred. God of Fire meanwhile almost laughed as he took his crystal ball and saw what happened. He slowly muttered as he looked at John, "This person is quite interesting to have actually angered Irmela. I guess it won't be boring these days. As for Irmela's request, I better ignore it and watch the show." Ho ho. As soon as John was attacked by the undead lord, John irritatingly dodged his attack and countered by using fire magic with his sword. The undead lord was quite surprised as he didn't see John using fire magic the whole time he faced Irmela. Mist meanwhile saw this situation as he smiled and lifted the anti-space magic formation by tapping his magic staff. He muttered slowly, "Let's see how he handles the undead lord." Suddenly, there was a notification inside John's head. Anti-space magic formation has been dispelled. 30x decrease in mana consumption. Mana consumption while using space magic has returned to normal. After watching this situation, Xylo became quite skeptical as he knew that Mist wouldn't do this for no reason. He meanwhile sighed as he knew that he couldn't control the undead lord when it came to his interests. After hearing the notification, John smiled as he used space magic and teleport behind the undead lord, and this time, he used light magic with his sword and slashed him. Ouch! Ouch! Holy, fucking shit! How are you this strong? Even using this taboo word is not this painful. The whole back of the undead lord was burning as he took pure damage. The undead lord spotted Xylo, who was whistling and trying to escape without him. As soon as he spotted him, John again teleported on the right-hand side of the undead lord as he was going to slash him. Watching that the situation was grave, the undead lord without keeping any face shouted and put all the blame on Xylo without any shame, "Stop! Stop! Stop! Previously I was only joking. It was his idea." It was as if both Xylo and the undead lord had a grudge against each other for their past scruples. Title: Death of Shadow Silhouette. Chapter 330, City of Lights. The undead lord thought as he got attacked by John, "Damn, he can still use light magic without the guidance of Irmela. It only makes it 10 times harder. I don't think I have even a 1% chance of winning against him from the way he is fighting against me without breaking any sweat." No wonder he was able to corner and kill Irmela. Friggin', I didn't want his used up God's fragment. Kids these days have quite a temper. Just for comparing some notes. Xylo, who was unconcerned with the undead lord, looked at him and then at John and Mist as he spoke, "You guys can kill him. Most of the time, he won't even listen to me. In the first place, why would I want to become enemies with that nature magician?" It was nighttime, as suddenly an eclipse occurred which created a commotion and stopped the fight between John and the undead lord. It was quite unique as previously only one moon used to have an eclipse, but this time, all the 3 moons were having an eclipse. Xylo meanwhile thought as he looked at John's fighting techniques, though he uses basic magic and elements, but he is quite efficient in using them in fights. The most important aspect of his fight was the fusion of elements. Fusing just 2 elements takes a good toll on one's body, but this guy fuses 4 elements without breaking any sweat. The most surprising thing is his use of space magic, and then there is that mental attack. Irmela called it Dragon's Roar if I remember it correctly. I need to research more on them and collect the magic fragments. That snow forest made by Frederick might come to use. John looked at the moon as in his mind he heard a new notification. Successfully resisted 3 curses. Successfully repelled. Successfully resisted curses. John muttered slowly as he looked at the notification, "Looks like watching moon is the medium of the curse." while Arzaz and Frederick immediately cast a spell to create a shield on their group. Melanie, who was away, soon neared John and exclaimed immediately, "It seems you are okay. Looks like this eclipse is the work of your Mela." In the underworld near a volcano, one of the archdemons smiled as he looked at the full events that took place today and muttered slowly, "Those brats actually managed to piss Irmela so much that he was forced to create 2 illusion eclipses today, one on sun and other on 3 moons. However, looking that he is fine, I think Irmela would be bleeding bucket loads of blood after watching this result." After looking at the eclipse, John immediately called Quill and ordered him, "Humph, who does he think he is? Quill, go and tell Taylor to lighten all the roads and our palaces. This eclipse might as well become the talking point of our City of Lights. Tell people that we will be completing the signing and hosting ceremony today itself." Quill smiled as he nodded and immediately found Taylor to implement what was prepared earlier. Taylor signaled Tornwall, and Tornwall immediately started North Frontier City's power system, which was currently being charged by thermal power stations. Immediately, the whole city was filled with lights, which surprised a lot of people, including Melanie, the diplomats, and Xylo. One of the Marquis who arrived here immediately exclaimed after watching the whole plaza filled with lights, "What is this? Holy, this isn't warm like the candles." Plato looked at the lights and exclaimed, "It seems this was the thing he mentioned about earlier when told that it would be a memorable day. I guess the Radiant Church ruined his plans, as I am sure Lord John might have planned to unveil this during his crowning ceremony. Nevertheless, I made the right move when I decided to ally with His Majesty John. Just his prowess alone can't be underestimated. After looking at those teleportation moves, I am sure Lord John is Anak himself. Now it seems quite funny that we sent a letter to John to betray himself." Annan was quite shocked after watching this level of technology and exclaimed, "This is worthy of historical notation. This invention itself may create a revolution in the world. I must immediately inform Mernit about today's events later on." A whole lot of factories too started working on power provided by the new thermal power station. John then looked at Xylo and the undead lord, who escaped after watching that John didn't perceive him as a threat. After scanning the undead lord, John got the following results. Name, Alan. King of Dark Magic. Power, 8000. Mana, 8000. Strength, 850. Endurance, 700. Mental power, 500. Species, Undead Lord. Fragment. Level, 62. Status, Healthy. Summoned creature, can be unsummoned by the caster, remaining time 3 hours/7 hours. Place of origin, the underworld. Traits, undead magic, dark magic, ice magic, chaotic fire, very cunning, weak to light and fire magic, sword saint. Weak to mental and soul magic. John looked at Xylo as he judged and spoke, "Who are you and what is up with your summon? You can't even control your summons? And most importantly, why are you here?" Xylo coughed a bit and spoke while keeping his pride, "Ahem, I am called the Undead Sage Xylo by the people of this continent. As for my presence, a few days ago I detected the presence of an angel's soul arriving on Arkan, so I made some preparations and followed his trail here today. I knew that since an angel arrived then there might be a big event, so I decided to snipe them behind their backs, as they wouldn't have included me in their plans when they attacked you. As for my summon, yes, I can't control him, you can kill him. Most of the time he extorts me like a mercenary, even after offering a shitload of resources. If you can tame him, I might as well reward you a ton of resources." Alan looked at Xylo as he made a face as if he was disgusted and spoke, "You call them resources? Most of them stop working after 2 or 3 fights. After the first time you scammed me, I made an oath to always scrutinize your deals no matter how juicy they seem. Just take this sword of undead for example, it might seem very good now, but after 3 more fights, it will be unusable. You told me previously that I could have God's fragment, and that is why I attacked him." Xylo was quite angry after he heard Alan and spoke immediately, "What about you? When I first summoned you, you ran immediately after watching the skeleton dragon. You even took the resources and left even at the cost of injuring your fragment soul. A lot of people were quite shocked after hearing the black history of these two characters. Xylo's personality shocked quite a lot of them when they saw him firsthand. The cold aloof undead sage seemed quite amiable after looking at him firsthand. After watching the bickering of the two, John didn't bother them more as the system informed him that Alan was indeed trying to only have pointers with him after watching his swordsmanship and compare his own swordsmanship.